What's up, guys? How we doing? So I sat down and chatted with Chad Watts. He's the legendary mechanic who was with Ricky Carmichael through most of his career. And he had a weird falling out, and I always wondered why that happened, and I never really got a straight answer. What I was told is Ricky had shorted him some money. I asked Chad what happened, and he didn't really want to talk about it, but I'll be honest with you, his silence spoke volumes. I think I was right when I had it that way. I've also heard these same rumors about Mike Gossler when Ricky Carmichael left him. I've also heard that same when Ricky left Alden Baker. Ricky has a tendency to leave people short on money. Anyway, Chad had some great stories and just a good dude who was there through the 90s. Pro circuit from the early days. He's worked with Ryan Hughes, Mike Brown, Mickael Pichon, and Ricky Carmichael. Thank you to Nano-Extreme. I'm going to get some out to Chad so he can try it. And if you want to get a sample for yourself, you only get one sample, no double dipping. Click the link in the description and get your Nano-Extreme. If you need some other content, head over to Coach Rob's YouTube channel. He's got a ton of good stuff going on over there. Get your goggles, glasses, t-shirts over at ridestrap.com. If you're shipping anything, use Precision Transport. That's pretransport.com. And if you want some high quality motocross gear, hit up Alias MX gear.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
All right, guys. So I had one of the legendary mechanics in this sport, and I've watched Chad Watts for a long time. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Just another day in paradise.
Where are you living at these days?
Evansville, Indiana.
Evansville, Indiana. And clearly with that accent, you're from California, right?
Not the last time I checked.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Shelby, North Carolina.
Oh, that sounds about right. So let's talk about your career, man. You had one hell of a career as a mechanic. I remember seeing you in the magazines, and you were pretty much a legend. But I didn't know you were around in 80, 88, 89 when I was racing Loretta's. How did you get started?
Well, it started, I worked on tractors and stuff on the farm. Dad got me an 82, I believe it was 82. This one YZ-125s had the radiator behind the front number plate, and something broke on it. I couldn't fix it because it was in the bottom end. So I took it to Bars Competition, which is located in Shelby, North Carolina. They did the motor, I was 15, got 16, got my driver's license. I called Bobby, said, hey, I'll sweep floors, whatever. I just want an opportunity. So I started at Bars Competition.
Wow. And my brother had one of those 82 YZ80s with the radiator up front. What a horrible design. Who thought of that?
I don't know, but I wish I still had the bike just to restore it and just look at it and go, okay, that's where this scar came from. This scar, that broken bone, this broken bone. I sucked at riding.
Oh, well, clearly you figured out the working on it. How much riding when did you decide to hang up the boots and start working on bikes?
When my mom told me I sucked.
Wait, your mom told you sucked?
Yeah. I thought I was a hero jumping terraces on the farmland, come back home, broken ankle, come back, 2 broken collarbones over a period of 6 months. She's all, son, you got to hang it up.
How old were you at this point?
Well, I think 13, and I did it back to back. Got released from the doctor, went riding, back there on Monday.
Oh, yeah, I can see, but that's pretty harsh. So that's fun. Your mom sounds really funny, by the way. That's awesome. You suck.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're done riding, but you still love the sport, right?
Oh, by all means. I enjoy it.
So did you think, okay, well, what can I do? And then, did you set out to be a professional mechanic, or did it just happen to you?
Well, I want to be a mechanic. And then once I started going to the races with Bars, then see other mechanics, and we went to some supercrosses and nationals and seeing the pro mechanics. I'm like, that's what I want to do.
And then, so you were, what was your first big break as a mechanic? When did you get a rider where you thought, all right, we can go somewhere?
Well, Bars back in those days were heavy hitters in the modification world. and Mike Brown was one of the riders. I mean, Damon Bradshaw's motors were still getting done. Ricky Carmichael's were getting done. I mean, massive amounts. And hooked up with Mike and Bernie, his dad. We got along great and started going to the races with them.
What did you think of working with Brownie? How was he? Was he always so hardcore like he is?
He was training back then. I wouldn't say as hardcore, but he was always in shape. And he definitely motivated himself and dedicated himself at the same time. And he had good speed. He just had to grow into it a little bit. Once he got faster, he had to learn how to use his fastness to me.
89, I was at Loretta's, and Brownie was the guy in the stock classes. They had the modified and the stock. It was like pro and pro-am. So Brownie was supposed to win both those classes. And there was a guy by the name of Bad Billy Fosnock came out there. I never heard of him, and he smoked Brownie. Were you with him, and did you give him shit for that?
Yeah, I was with Brownie. I mean, I think we won one title, and we called him Fosnuts. He won. He won one title, I believe. I mean, that's so long ago. But yeah, we're like, dude, who is this dude? He showed up to the line, I believe, in an open face helmet, bone stock bike, still had the warranty stickers on it from the dealership, and he was short, and he just hauled butt. We're like, who is this guy? So next thing you see, that his bikes were under Yamaha 10 all the time. But Brownie's like, who is this guy? I'm like, I don't know. He's fast.
Yeah, I remember I was like, wait, who's this guy? Brownie, because like I said, he was coming from Ponca where, they had everyone together, and then he went over there and he didn't have to go against, I believe it was Emig and Talon Voland. He was supposed to win that class. And when he got beat, everyone's like, what? Somebody beat him? And then you look at the guy, open face helmet, and Billy had this kind of little gut hanging over. His jersey came untucked. I'm like, wow. It was crazy. So where'd
Yeah.
you go? Where'd you go from there? So you're with Brownie. Did you go pro with Brownie?
He did one national in '89, Steel City, and he was number 483. Remember it like it today. And fast in practice, but I think the hype and everyone around him, I think he got like 13th or 14th overall, and he was totally pissed off at himself the whole day. And it started early in the day, so it made the whole day, not the greatest.
Okay, so how do you go from Mike Brown in '89 getting 13th at a national to when did you join pro circuit or the factory teams? What was your first big break?
Well, I got to know at that time it was Jose Gonzalez and Mark Johnson, heavy hitters at Team Green. And I called them up in late '89, said, hey, any riders need a mechanic in California? And Jose or Mark called me back, said, yeah, Ryan Hughes or Jeremy McGrath. And I said, I like Hughes because I saw his riding style. So my parents talked to his parents, and then we went to the guidance counselor. And I'm actually smart besides just working on motorcycles. I only needed a credit and a half to graduate going in my senior year. So they let me go, sent my toolbox I think I gave it to Mike Craig's dad at Houston Supercross. And he took it out there, and I flew out there, 17 years old.
This time, Rhino was Team Green. He wasn't on pro
Team
circuit.
Green. Yep, Team Green. Top Team Green rider.
So now you're what, 18, 17?
I was 17.
17 years old, a factory mechanic, and he's riding the 125 class at the time. So you were his mechanic right around the time. Now didn't his dad pass away right there?
No. Bill passed away a few years later. He
Okay.
did. No, Bill was around. Cool cat, he was, for sure.
Yeah, I remember seeing him at World Mini. He always seemed like a pretty cool dude. So you're with Rhino the first year. You driving the box van all over?
Yes.
So
Yes, we were.
They just turn a 17-year-old kid loose with Rhino. You guys are just traveling the world racing dirt bikes?
Yeah, pretty much.
How was it with Rhino? Was he hard to deal with? Because I know he can be a bit hard-headed. Was he as crazy back then as he is now?
No, no, he was 180 different. I mean, compared to what he is now, which way he is now is totally fine with me. Rhino's Rhino. He's going to speak what he wants and going to say what he wants and like it or don't like it. But he was quieter animal, and I remember like the first 2 weeks I was there was in a car, me, him, and his girlfriend going down. It was 15 because we lived in Escondido, and some guy cut him off, and Rhino ran him off the road on the off ramp, jumped out and grabbed the guy out of the window. Rhino was 16, and I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, what did I get myself into?
You ripped the dude out of his car?
I'm like, I better get back on that one way back to North Carolina.
Oh man. Okay, so how many years did you stay with Rhino, and then where did your career go from there? Are you making anything at this point, or are you just kind of surviving?
The first when I moved there, I made $100 a week in food paid, but we lived with Bill and Kathy. Then it bumped up to 300 and up to 24,000, like in '93, then jumped up. And then I stayed with Rhino till '95, and I got out pro circuit. We became too good of friends. We're like brothers. So I went in house and did the dyno testing for me and Mike Hooker was the main guy, and did that and did all the race engines, made sure everything dyno's right. And I stayed there and went to the nationals, and then came Pichon.
So at what time did you go from Team Green to Pro Circuit? When they went to Kawasaki, or how did that
So
transition happen?
'93, Rhino, when he was number 18, he got on the pros, got on the factory team, excuse me, and we were in house. That was the year Cowie got the semi, and but I was in the box van, painted like the semi, so I was in house, and from that point up till went to Cowie, I was paid by Cowie the whole time. But they gave me Pro Circuit the money, but it came from Kawasaki.
So, okay, so you were kind of absorbed into Mitch's program through Kawasaki when they switched over.
Yeah, which was awesome.
What's that?
I said, which was awesome.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. So now you're with Mitch Payton. You've been 5 years in this industry, and you get it. Your next rider is Pichon.
Yep, Mickael Pichon.
Dude, that guy was talented. He used to wear. How did he get to wear JT gear when everybody else had to wear the team gear?
I guess maybe because he was over here and I'm going to go back. And I mean, no, I'm wrong. He wore it the first year as well. I don't know. I couldn't answer that one. I'm seeing Xavier from Europe, Pro Circuit Porter. He probably had a lot to do with it because that's the one that introduced Pichon to Mitch Payton.
So he's probably part of the. Yeah, I'm sure Mitch is like, okay, well, if that's all I got to put up with. He's got to wear JT gear, so be it. If he wins races, we're good, right?
Yeah,
And so you got your first championship with Pichon, right?
correct. The East Coast title.
At this point, as a mechanic, are you making good money? And do you get a championship bonus? Like, how is it set up? Because you guys bust your asses out there. And I always wonder, like, do you get a big bonus when there's a title?
Pichon was a little tight, so to speak. I mean, it was a little bit. It wasn't a lot. You know, I'm probably coming home with 50 grand a year total.
Okay, but in what was it, 95? That's actually pretty decent money back then. It wasn't.
Yeah, that was '96. Yeah.
So that'd be like almost like 100 something here. So yeah, I mean, it's doing pretty good back in the day. And then so Pichon, he wins a title, bumps out of the class, and then you end up with this little red-haired kid, Carmichael. What did you think of him?
Well, I actually knew Ricky and Mama C and Big Rick from them being at the amateur races. Like at that time, amateurs raced on Saturday, and got to know them and kid was coming through, and prior Pro Circuit, the year he rode the Chrome 85 at Loretta's, Mitch had me go out there. I believe I drove the Peak van, or it might have been the Pro Circuit van, and take care of Ricky's 85. So I got to know him really well that year. And I forget what year that was, 94. I'm not exactly sure. 94, 95. I'm not sure.
So Mitch had already had his eye on him. He's like, hey, listen, Chad, you need to go take care of this kid. He's our next guy. Did you know he was going to be good at that point?
Yeah, I remember at Gainesville, I think it was 93, maybe 92. No, it was 93. And Jeff Ward, Matasevich, and I think it was Larocco, maybe, and Ryan said, hey, we're going to go watch this kid Carmichael. So they went and watched him on Saturday and watched him. We're like, whoa, that kid's fast. And Carmichael, I keep saying Carmichael, Wardy is like, dude, he's short too.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Wardy was like, yeah, short guys stick together. So he turns pro, and now you've already got a relationship with him. How do you, like, was there when you go to Pro Circuit and you get this protege and you get somebody who's going to win championships and you're both, are all the mechanics trying to get with him? How do you end up with him other than just the previous relationship?
Mitch talked to me, and then, because I was actually supposed to go with Pichon to the 250 factory team. And I talked to Mitch and I said, nah, I don't want to go. I'll stay. And Mama C called me up and talked to me and said, we want you to be Ricky's mechanic. And I can't remember if I went prior or afterwards talking to Mama C to Mitch. And I said, all right, I'll do it. And so that's how it started.
Did you get a pay bump, or was it just you knew you were going to get more bonuses with him?
Well, at that time, I didn't know about bonuses. I didn't know if it was going to be assholes and elbows and broken parts every weekend. I had no clue. Pay jumped up a little bit, but it wasn't from being his mechanic. It was just every year pay jumped up a little bit, so to speak.
So, we always saw you guys in the magazine next to your riders. It looked like a glamorous position, but the pay sounds like it wasn't great, and it was all dependent on if your rider tipped you out. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, bonuses were a big deal.
So, okay, so when Ricky starts winning and you start becoming the dynamic duo, what was next after that? What were you thinking? Were you like, okay, this is awesome, I'm going to transition into something else? Did you just want to be a mechanic forever? Did you start looking a little bit further into the future?
No, I was content. Not like stuck in that spot, but I was content for the future. I just wanted to stay where I was at as far as my career, whether it was there with Ricky or not. I just wanted to keep moving forward, and it happened to work with Ricky.
And then, okay, so now you develop a bond with Ricky. You win all the titles on the 125 for Pro Circuit. Now he's going to the 250. And honestly, a lot of us didn't know. He was so small. We weren't sure if he could make that jump and be a heavy hitter. What made you go with him to the big bike instead of saying where you were at?
I was his guy, and I was going to stay. So, and everything was positive. So there was no reason why not to. So went with the flow.
So it was that 1 year. So he was always a little bit pudgy. And then he comes in, I believe it was 98, and he goes back and forth with McGrath in the first couple of rounds on Kawasaki. What was different about that year? What changed in
that? Would have been 99.
Okay, 99. What would have changed that year that made him so much better than the previous year? Because the previous year in Supercross, he kind of sucked.
Yeah. Well, 99 was his first year in 250. He busted his butt a lot. Because in 99, he rode 97, 98, 99, 125 outdoor. So 99, he rode 250 indoor. And
okay, so 2000 is the one I'm talking about. The year he made the jump.
Oh, yeah.
And got better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because Eldon came in.
Okay, so that...
Eldon. I call him Waldo because I can always get Eldon and Alden mixed up. So I told I said, I'm just going to call him Waldo.
Okay, yeah, Waldo works. Yeah, so Waldo's in the picture, and now did Ricky not train? What like you got to see that from behind the curtain? What did Eldon or Waldo do differently that changed in Ricky's program? Did he have it more structured? Was Ricky eating too many cheeseburgers? Was it a mentality thing? What do you think?
It was more physical and getting his eating habits right and his cardio right. I mean, I wasn't there every moment actually seeing him train, so I can't say exactly what the routine was, but I know that like at the races, you see him eating different. And, I mean, not compared to '97 when he won the first moto, or excuse me, got second the first moto, and eat the daggum grilled cheese in between motos, and then goes out and kills Lamps in the second moto.
Oh yeah, I was surprised that first year on the 125 because Lamson was the man. I mean, he had won two titles, and I thought for sure he's riding that Honda. It was so good. I didn't think Ricky'd beat him, and Ricky just handled poor Steve Lamson.
Yeah, that first moto, Ricky came in. He said, "I could have passed him. I was waiting on him to get tired." Me and Mitch look at him, and go, "Lampson don't get tired," and he goes, "Okay." Why is eating the grilled cheese?
All right, I'll pass him next moto then. Easy peasy, right? Oh
Yeah,
boy. So, okay, so he does really good on the Kawasaki, and now he gets this big deal from Honda. And now that was a tough time because he had just taken down the King. He wasn't real popular. Then he signs with the big team Honda. Like, and you went with them, right?
correct.
Was that tough? Because you've been with Kawasaki now for what, 10 years?
Long time. I mean, really, got affiliated with them starting in '88, but actually '90 to yeah, a long time. That Cowie, Bruce Thurston, he was that came in later towards the end because it was Rory Turner before. But Rick Ash, I mean, Norm Bigelow, it was just more like a family. And it was hard to leave. I mean, sometimes I'm like, man, should I stay? And I'm like, nah, I'm going to go with Ricky. So Chuck Miller, I believe it was Chuck, called me up. And I went down to Honda. Contract was already signed. People didn't know that it was signed from Ricky, not mine. And I went down to Honda, and Chuck Miller showed me the race shop and etc. And that was it. And I signed my contract.
Wow. So was it obviously it's tough leaving those guys and you make that decision. When you get to Honda, did they welcome you in? Were some of the other mechanics kind of like, oh no, they're bringing this new guy in? Like, what was the atmosphere when you went into Honda?
It was good, and I knew all the guys. Goose, Shane Drew, um, Ron Wood, Cliff White. I knew a little bit. Clifford's hard to get to know, and not many people can get away calling Cliff White Clifford. Um, but no, it was like open arms, totally good. They had three new mechanics come in that year. Of course, me. They had Bundy, which was Ramsey, and then they had Kenny Germain, which was Fonseca's. So they had three new guys come in.
Okay, so how many years did you spend with Honda?
See, '02, well, '01, about 4 months, '02, and then '03 up till about halfway through the year. Then I resigned.
Why did you resign? What? Because it was like you got this championship rider, you're winning titles, all's good. Why would you leave?
Well, me and Ricky, we had some disagreements, and it was just best, you know, to part ways. So I did stay in house and did four stroke engines and development, Ron Wood and me. And I stayed there and came to the point. I said, nah, I'm done. So got my papers and walked away.
Wow. That was so, and I'm not trying to pry about specific reasons, but was Ricky changing as a person? Because it's so hard with these kids because you meet them when they're 17 and they're going through that time where they have to become an adult. You're already an adult at this point. Is it make it kind of tough to deal with the personality as they grow?
Well, we all grow and we change. So everybody changes. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, and then the parents. I've seen so many people in this sport. It's so hard because your parents are with you all the way through, but then there comes a point where you almost have to shed them and become your own person. And I'm not asking about Ricky specifically. You worked with Pichon, you worked with Rhino. Have you seen that issue in the sport?
Yeah, Bill and Kathy Hughes, God bless Bill, so he's up in heaven. They were great. They and then Carmichael's. I mean, you got Mama C, which is freaking almost wide open. Let's put it that way. And she's the only one I ever seen make Mitch Payton be quiet as he sat in his wheelchair because she chewed him out. I didn't know where to laugh or just sit there. Um, and then you got Big Rick, calm, cool as can be, opposite track. But it was great having them around. They stayed away. They didn't interfere with the races. When Ricky got off the bike, talked with me, staff. He went to his RV. They had their time. They did their family thing. So it all worked out well.
Interesting. Yeah, it's weird how the family is so involved in this sport. What's one of your best memories as a mechanic? What did you when you left, what did you miss the most about being a mechanic?
Winning. I mean,
Is that it? Just winning?
the money was good, especially the last couple of years. The money was really good. And I mean, I walked away making a lot of money. I mean, you're talking up six digits and up into six digits and a little more. But I was just, it was time to go. But yeah, as far as, winning, it's cool to have being in a stadium and all the fans cheering and then outdoors, afterwards, just seeing the smile on everyone's face, the team, and then like winning Motocross the Nations over in France that year. That was probably one of the special moments. And it was cool because I had my rider, Carmichael, then I had my old rider, Ryan Hughes, on the team. So my mom was there, and then Kathy was there, Hughes, and so they got to hang out. So, it's just a good atmosphere.
Nice. And then, so you got to work in the 90s when there was a lot of partying going on. There wasn't the internet to record it and bust everybody. What do you think about that time versus this time? Were the riders a lot more loose? Like, what do you think of the modern day riders versus the 90s?
Well, the 90s was definitely more loose. Like you said, no social, hey, like, heck, we'd be on the line at Mount Moore's joking around. Man, next weekend we're going to be at Havasu. Relax, one weekend off. Me, McGrath, and Emig, and Button, and Phil Lawrence. And Ricky's like, I want to go. I'm like, you're never going to Havasu. But yeah, 90s were a little more relaxed. And then it started changing to me, the transition in the early 2000s. It became more like corporate, so to speak. Like everybody was watching your tail. Even the mechanics, everybody watching your tail. And I don't want someone standing over my shoulder. I do my job, and I only had one DNF in my whole career, and that was at Southwick, one moto. So let me do my job.
What was, listen, I cringe at the amount of pressure on mechanics when those dudes are going for titles. What was your biggest mistake or stress out moment when you've done something?
Uh,
You ever forget to tighten like a seat bolt or a shroud or
no, I'm not
really?
being, I'm not being arrogant. No, I was pretty, and I'm still to this day thorough. I mean, I take my time a little longer to finish something. I mean, Honda mechanics, nothing against them. Their bikes were awesome. They did their job and they gave it 110%. But I just worked a little bit longer because I like buttoning my bike up when there was no one in the hauler. And I knew once I had everything there on the bench top, I had 2.5 hours to get done. So,
Were you on the team when Ricky had that low setup where the bars were like
oh
weight?
yeah, yeah. That's
What the hell did you guys let him do that for?
well. That the head tube was higher from the seat. He had to shorten the seat so much, so it changed the angle, and his arms been shorter. So when you rotated the bars at normal position, it made him kind of have to get up on his front of his feet a little bit when he went through certain sections. So he would roll them back, roll them back. And I'm like, dude, seriously? Awesome. I'm like, and I think that year he ran McGrath's bend on the Honda and McGrath ran his bend on the Yamaha.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure of that. I'm not 110%, but I'm pretty sure of that.
Well, I remember I saw that bike on display and I went, no, it couldn't. And they're like, that's exactly how it was. They're like, no, it was.
Dude, people are like, dude, he crashed coming like out of the tunnel and you're pushing the bike. Once you get up the tunnel, fans are like, he crashed? Nope. What about his bars? That's the way it is.
They did. They looked like they got like knocked down. Yeah, it
Oh,
was. And you guys never went, Ricky, come on, that's too far.
what floats the boat? Go with it.
Yeah, see, that's what I think a lot of people are missing right now, the mechanics and stuff. And this, they got the new data. Oh, the data says, listen, if my rider wants a pink front fender and he can go faster, we get him a pink front fender. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Ricky wants bars to look like a dragster. We give him dragster bars. So, what did you miss? Like, or what was the thing that you were happiest to get away from when you quit mechanicking?
All the political and like I say, you got too many chiefs in the tribe above you standing over your shoulders. And I am who I am. Was I perfect? I was younger. Did I like girls? Yes, I did, you know, but I did my job. Now I'm older and I look back at myself, oh man, you could have did this a little, maybe not that when it comes to the girl situation. But you know what? It is what it is. And I got all them titles and I don't know, 130 something wins, I think. So, you know, I'm I'm happy. And I walked away when I was 28.
Yeah, yeah. And then you started bodybuilding or something. I saw you a couple years after you retired and you were jacked, dude. What was that all about?
Girls.
Looking good for Havasu. So when you left Honda, what did you do from there? Where'd life take you?
I luckily I had my 3-car garage set up in Corona Hills, so I started Watch Perfections and started doing custom bikes and of course the motors and Pro Circuit Race Shop and customer division was only back roads like 4 minutes away. So Mitch said I could come down there and use the machines if I needed. So stay there and did that, and it worked out good. And that rolled into 2004, and then when I had to be there all the time in California every day, I'm like, this ain't cutting it. I'm selling this house and moving back to North Carolina.
Oh, and then I did see you. I saw you at Irwindale wrenching for Jeff Ward at Supermoto. Did you do much with the Supermoto team?
Well, that was in '03. Mitch came to me and talked to me about it. Said, "Hey, Troy Lee's going to do supermotos. It's going to be Ward, McGrath, and sometimes Troy's going to race. Would you be interested in it?" And I said, "Sure, I'd be like to talk to him." And I was just starting to watch Perfection, so it was like that was safety money coming in, guaranteed. So that's how it started, and I was doing all them bikes, way too many bikes. I mean, you brought in Jake Simpke, the Honda factory road racer at some races, and then I forget the other guy's name. He was a good rider too. So heck, sometimes I'd have 5 bikes at the freaking super motard race.
I remember I saw you checking the tire pressure, but I had to laugh because you were using the tire pressure gauge that like comes with your car and sticks out. I'm like, dude, that's Jeff Ward.
He couldn't get into them rascals. There's so many spokes wide, and
I
Yeah, I
know.
probably left my nice gauge at home because I wasn't going to let nobody use it.
Because my brother and I were go-kart racers and supermoto racers, so we're all about like pressure to the half pound. I'm like, he's using a car one. We thought it was funny, but
Yeah,
yeah.
one I got, it tells you the heat, what it is outside, and the temperature, so it balances everything. So it's in my toolbox right behind me, actually.
Hey, listen, Wardy won, so I was like, whatever, it worked. So yeah, good to go. So you go there, now you got Watts Performance, right? Now this, now
Perfect
what's that?
perfections.
My bad. Watts Perfections. And you were you able to keep the business afloat? Now, was it a California based? Were you internet based as you moved back to North Carolina?
It was California based, but when I moved back, I had it set up, transferred over to North Carolina.
And was that hard? Did you lose clients, add clients? How did that work?
Oh, I was down. I mean, a shop grading had to get done, and building the shop. I mean, I was down to, I moved in October of 2004, and the shop didn't open until like May of '05. So I was down for a while. I mean, it was built from scratch. It was just farmland.
So if I want to have you do work, what do you do? Tell me what you do there.
Well, I'm in Evansville, Indiana, is where I'm located.
Yeah.
I moved up here. Um, I do four-stroke heads. Everybody thinks of me as a two-stroke guy, which I do a crap load of two strokes. I mean, I do all my cylinders, my head, my machining on my own. I mean, this is my shop. So,
So I jumped a bunch of spots there. I got sideways there. So how'd you get from North Carolina to Indiana?
well, there's a girl rider. Her name is Callie Sutton, little spunky thing. And I started doing 50s for her, I forget how many years ago. And got to know the Sutton family, Ross and Amanda, and Callie. I call Callie little Watts boss lady because she's a cocky little thing. Um, and a couple years ago, no, it's been longer than that. A few years ago, Ross said, "Hey, you should move up." And then I recently got divorced, and we talked at Loretta's, and I said, "What the heck?" So this is 25, so 23 after Loretta's, I moved up here. When he was talking, he said, he said again, he said, "I'll build you a shop." And so he did. One of the friends of his, which I got to know well, got a nice house I rent on an acre of land, and everything worked out good.
And I will say I have been through a divorce and a change of scenery, and that was probably one of the harder things I've had to deal with in life. I don't know how yours went, but the change of scenery helped a lot. Did that help out?
Yeah, it did. And then you got the friends. I mean, that's another thing I miss about being on the road is you had your race friends at the races, then you had your friends at home. Um, but yeah, you got the friends here, and it definitely, I like it. You know, I miss seeing my daughter all the time, but
How old's your daughter?
she'll be 15 in a couple months.
Yep, I got a 16-year-old too. It's tough though, especially when they get to that age. My daughter, to get any quality time with her, it's like I might as well be trying to book with the president. So,
Yeah, mine comes up on during the summertime. She gets out of school and she spends like 3 months with me.
does she ride?
Now she had a little pink and white Polaris battery one, and then a pink and white 90 Polaris Sportsman. I
Okay.
still got Sportsman is in storage.
Yeah, that's a good little quad. I believe they call it the Mini Raptor or something. Yeah.
Um,
Or
license,
Predator, I think they call it. The Predator.
license plate says spoiled.
Sounds about right. So did you not want her riding dirt bikes because you see the injuries and stuff, or did she
Now,
just not
it was
want
more
to?
into gymnastics and dancing and all that. I mean, she likes going to the races. Like she'll be at the Red Lens again with me this year. She's getting old enough now. I've already threatened the boys the last couple of years. remember who builds your race engines. Stay away from my daughter.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's something that I've been very critical of is yeah, well, they had that guy renting golf carts. I don't know if you knew about that, but that's creepy to me. They have a guy who's a registered sex offender that was renting golf carts there. I didn't like that. I don't like those people at kids events. They shouldn't be there. So,
Yeah, I was not aware of that.
yeah, I called it out. And I don't know if you've watched my videos, you know, I don't get along well with Davey Coombs, but instead of addressing it and saying, yeah, we're going to run background checks, he defended the guy. I'm like, no, that's not okay. That's not acceptable at an amateur event. But that's my battle. I don't want to drag you into that. So, all right, Chad. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you talking with me, man. You've had quite a journey. Anything else that you want to talk about that I missed here?
No, I'm good. I mean, just I'm available. All you gotta do is give a shout, leave me up on Instagram or Facebook. Easy to send stuff to me. And like I say, I'm a one-man show. Do it all myself. Besides, I got a local guy does my Cerakoting and my rim Ferrocoat coatings on the internal engine parts. So, and that's local. So everything's done right around here. And as far as the coatings go, and then I do everything in-house.
This is crazy that in this day, I can have somebody who's won 130 races and championships. I'm not sending it to your company. You personally are going to do it. So if you want to have Chad Watts work on your machine, that's pretty cool, man.
And I mean, I'm not being arrogant or nothing at all. I just take pride in what I do and I enjoy it. And I want to send out, I like seeing kids smile, you know, and be happy.
Show me another sport where you can get a champion mechanic to literally work on your stuff regularly. I think it's pretty cool. And hopefully, I think people are going to reach out to you. And the fact that they know that you specifically are the one doing the work, that's pretty cool. And then what do you get to race as much these days?
Me actually race? Or
No, get to go watch, or how many races do you go to these days?
The qualifiers, like this weekend, leaving Thursday to go to Lincoln Trail, which is about 2 hours from here, which I give them props. That's one of the nicest facilities I've ever been to. And then I go to some of the areas around here, a lot of the regionals, and then of course I'll be at Loretta's, and I'll be there probably for like 2 weeks. Get there a little bit early, and maybe mini O's. I don't travel a lot. And I sure as heck ain't getting on a plane. I got 1,000,000 miles under my belt, but I don't want to get on a plane anymore. I want my feet on the ground.
Yeah. So now is Callie Sutton, is that her name?
Yeah. Yep. Callie
Is
Sutton.
she,
Yeah.
is she going to race the women's nationals?
Yeah, she did it last year. She was a young little thing on a 125, and she got 7th.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
And we're bumping her up to a 150. And she rides the women's and the girls. She's still on 105, and she pulls whole shots. But we're going to bump her up to a 112 after this weekend and have her start training on one, and then bump her up to, like I say, a 150 for the women's class. And then she's going to ride the 85s at the qualifiers against the boys. Most times she beats all the boys. Like full gate at Lincoln Trail. I mean, I ain't gonna say most of the time, but quite a few times she's whole shotted and checked out against some fast boys that finished top 10s at Loretta's.
Well, I watched Lala Turner, Sophie Phelps, Jordan Jarvis. Those girls fly. I mean, Jordan Jarvis qualified straight up for a few nationals. I mean, they're no joke, man.
Yeah, she's been down at the shows down in South Carolina. She's been down there since a couple days after Christmas. They took the big hauler and the trailer down there, and Ross is actually going tomorrow to pick her up, fly down there, pick her up, and bring her back for the qualifier. So she's definitely has improved more from what they say down there at the facility, and I hear that's a very good facility as well.
Well, I know as a mechanic, you probably got some aches and pains. I got one of my sponsors, Nano-Xtreme. I'll send you some of that stuff, and hopefully that'll help you out. And everyone that comes on, I like to make sure they get some Nano Extreme. And man, this is the best pain cream I've ever used. I'm sure. I mean, you're around in the '90s. You saw the guys using DMSO, that stuff from like the horse feed place.
Dude, I'm getting old. I'll be 53 next week. That's a long time ago. I forget.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they've got that, but it's in the human form. Good stuff. I'll send it to you, and hopefully you like it. But I thank you so much for your time, Chad. You had one hell of a career, and I'm pretty stoked at what you're doing now. You're like, nice shop there, and I'm just blown away. Like if I had a bike, I'd be like, I'm sending it to you because I know when I send it to some of these other companies, I don't know who's doing the work. If I send it to Pro Circuit, it's most likely I'm getting it worked on by Mitch. If I send it to you, it's you. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's me. That's it. Only me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Chad.
Well, thank
Oh,
you.
special shout out to our buddy Chad Denton. I know he's going through some stuff, and I just want to say shout out to him, and I hope things get a little better. So,
Well, thank you for this interview, and I greatly appreciate it. And you gotta get your butts. Oh shit! You won't. Excuse my language. You
you
won't
can
be
sir.